This is Jeff of INNERFIT, where exceptional fitness begins within. As always, we don't consider ourselves to be the authority for telling anyone how to live their lives. Only you can determine our value to you. Keep in mind that the information being provided here today is for educational and informational purposes only, and it is not intended to be used as a substitute for seeking professional medical help. Now today, I'm wrapping up the Salt for Cardiac Health Impromptu Sessions. This is the fourth in the series. The previous series we talked about salt, the type of salt that you should consume, wherein you should be consuming pink Himalayan salt crystals, which is salt in its natural state and still contains all of the trace elements and minerals that is found in salt within its natural state, as opposed to consuming processed salt, where all these natural elements, minerals have been stripped from the salt and you're left with sodium and potassium. We also talked about blood pressure in terms of what the numbers mean, in terms of the top number, which is the systolic number, and the diastolic number. And in the last session, session 3, we talked about the ratio between sodium and potassium, and throughout the series I referenced the fact that sodium and potassium, salt and potassium is what causes the heart to beat. Now today I'm wrapping up the session. I hope you found the information helpful. Today I'm going to talk about salt and potassium and their relationship to lethal injection. When an inmate on death row has been sentenced to death by lethal injection, salt and potassium plays a role in that process. How does it play the role? Well, if you remember in session 3 of the series, I talked about the ratio between salt and potassium, whereas the serum blood levels, the normal serum blood level of potassium is 3.5 to 5. The normal serum blood level of sodium is 135 to 45. Anytime those numbers become imbalanced, you're going to have some cardiac problems. That's just the way that it is. Do the math. Now this ratio, interestingly enough, this ratio is what's taken into consideration when someone receives a lethal injection. For a very long time, I used to think that an inmate that was set to die from lethal injection, I thought that they injected some sort of poison within their system. That's not how the case works. What is injected into the veins, the circulatory system of the individual that has been sentenced to lethal injection is potassium. That's right, it's potassium. What they do is they inject potassium, and it causes that ratio between sodium, it causes an imbalance between the ratio of sodium and potassium, and the heart stops and the individual dies. That is lethal injection. And throughout my travels, I spoke with a young lady that worked within that prison system, and she told me that my theory is correct, because it was a theory at the time, but she told me that I am correct. However, there is one additional component that is added to the lethal injection along with potassium. She wasn't able to tell me what it was, but whatever that component is, she said it causes respiratory failure. So it affects the lungs directly. So when an individual receives a death sentence by lethal injection, he is injected, or that individual is injected with potassium, and with potassium to cause cardiac failure, and with an additional component to cause respiratory failure. Lethal injection is a simple matter of disrupting the ratio between sodium and potassium, because as you remember, as I've said on previous sessions, Sodium and potassium is what causes the heart to beat. As I also mentioned, the ratio between sodium and potassium. Potassium 3.5 to 5 milliequivalents per liter of blood. Sodium 135 to 145 milliequivalents per liter of blood. When you throw that ratio out of balance, you have cardiac problems, to the degree to where they use it as a lethal injection, to put someone to death, on death row. That's how important sodium and potassium is to cardiac health. That's why it's important for you to daily eat foods that are rich in potassium and take in the proper sodium. Foods I mentioned, 2 foods that I mentioned are bananas. Eat a banana every day, and eat an avocado, or some portions, or half of an avocado every day, and you should be fine. Just sprinkle. In fact, take an avocado, cut it in half, and sprinkle some pink Himalayan salt crystals on it, and eat it. Let food be thy medicine, and let medicine be thy food. Okay, well, that's going to wrap up the session here, the impromptu sessions on sodium for cardiac health. You know, I really enjoyed doing this. I hope you find the information helpful, and be on the lookout for the next functional foods update. Like I mentioned before, I came across another tea that it's reduced the amount of yerba mate that I'm consuming now. And you know, I never dreamt that I would come across another tea that would usurp the significance of yerba mate to me. But I have found one, and I will be sharing that information with you on the next functional foods update. Remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share this video with others who want to learn more about how to maintain a healthy cardiac function. And remember to donate to our continued efforts by clicking on the PayPal banner on our YouTube page. Until next time, imagine to believe, endeavor to achieve. Later.